Who else remembers when Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm was looked at with a high level of excitement? That was a long time ago, man. The date is October 30th, 2012. George Lucas has just sold his company Lucasfilm for $4 billion. All rights for the properties now belong to Disney, the multi-tentacled behemoth that devours studios. Kathleen Kennedy is installed as the new president of Lucasfilm, and Bob Iger announces the production of new Star Wars movies, the first set to be released Christmas 2015. The Force Awakens, while a near blatant rip-off of A New Hope, goes on to earn over $2 billion at the global box office, and Rogue One somehow is also a great success. Things are looking up. But then a round-headed simpleton who will happily kiss Kathleen Kennedy's ass comes along and shits out The Last Jedi. Quite possibly the worst movie I've ever had the misfortune of watching. And bro, I sat through all The Little Mermaid. Solo, a Star Wars story, becomes the first Star Wars movie in history to lose money, and The Rise of Skywalker turns out to be just as bad as its predecessor, making only a percentage of what The Force Awakens did. Lucasfilm is assaulted on all sides from unhappy fans, raging at the company who ruined many beloved characters and butchering what was a brilliant story. The Mandalorian is released onto Disney Plus and receives glowing reviews, one of them being from yours truly. The same for Season 2. Maybe this will work itself out. If this can be done by people who actually care about Star Wars, the brand can be saved. Ewan McGregor is announced to be returning as Obi-Wan Kenobi for his own show, and fans are tremendously excited. Then it all came crashing down. The Book of Boba Fett was not received warmly, and Kenobi even less so. One of the other Lucasfilm properties, Willow, gets a Disney Plus show, but that turns out to be so shit that it's pulled from the streaming service. Things are not looking good now. Mando Season 3 sidelines its own main character to make way for someone more diverse, and Indy 5 turns out to be what we all said it would be. A fucking joke. With the apparent possibility of future indie projects starring Phoebe Waller-Bridge and a new Rey Palpatine movie, Disney is set to lose so much more money. The only ones who are looking forward to all of this are those of us online who enjoy taking the piss out of this kind of stuff. Lucasfilm, under Disney's and Kennedy's leadership, has absolutely fucking tanked. Only a handful hold out hope that something can be salvaged. For me, it's Ahsoka. I don't believe Dave Filoni will let this show be bad, and I have the suspicion that funds may have been pulled from other shows to bolster Ahsoka. But, as I said in my trailer reaction last week, if this show sucks dick, Lucasfilm can suck mine. All this brings me on to the main point of this rant. Can Lucasfilm be saved? And I don't think it can. Definitely not how it is now. New leadership, new owners, writers, ideas, they all need a clean slate. All these new people need to be brought in who actually care. Bear in mind, we are talking about Hollywood and it's all going swimmingly there, isn't it, right now? But let's dream up a scenario where Disney finally realises they're not making money from all of this and they decide to sell Lucasfilm. For starters, they cannot sell it for the $4 billion they bought it for. No one is going near this property or this whole business for that amount of money. So Disney will need to sell it at a percentage. Who is around who can buy it? Warner Brothers is out straight away. They are millions upon millions in debt, and they have enough to worry about trying to launch a superhero universe of movies that will have no interest by the time it hits theatres. Certain companies like, I'd say, Netflix and Paramount simply don't have the money to spend on a property like this. Amazon could, but after the whole Rings of Power fiasco, I don't think they'll risk Star Wars. Not after all of the backlash and the butchering they did with Tolkien's world. Apple is a possibility. Looking at their own Apple TV, it shows they make content not as frequently, but it is to a higher standard. If Lucasfilm was kept mainly as a TV property like it is now, then it could show promise. But we want the movies. That's what Star Wars was all about to begin with. An experience at the movie theatre. So who does that leave? Call me crazy for this, but I believe the only way for Lucasfilm to be saved is for it to be bought back by George Lucas. We have had too long without the visionary in the pilot seat. Say what you will about the prequels and a load of his ideas, he added a lot to the mythos and a lot of the ideas were amazing. George had ideas for a sequel trilogy that were completely disregarded by Disney. Give it back to the creator, let him have one last run. The man is 79, so he's definitely in the winter of his existence, but this is the only way I see the company being saved. But enough about all the sensible shit. Let's run a hypothetical. What would I do if I was put in charge of Lucasfilm? What would I do to try and save this? First up, Kathleen Kennedy is fired. None of her choosing to leave. A public firing so the world knows she is not welcome. Second, forget about Indies 4 and 5, there are only 3 Indiana Jones movies and that is how it should have been. Maybe some books or comics to flesh out the world, but the movie should have left it with The Last Crusade. Third, Willow is a dead property. It was a little known fantasy movie when it came out and the show was nothing but a steaming pile of dog shit. That can be forgotten. Fourth, decanonize the sequel trilogy. We chalk it up to alternate universe bullshit and we reinstate the extended universe of Star Wars. That, I think, was Disney's biggest problem from the get-go. That they decanonized just so much great material. And to keep it to 5, because honestly, I could go on about this shit. This one, I don't know how many people will feel about it, but me personally, I'd love to see this. I would resurrect LucasArts. Bring back a game developer that could give great avenues to explore all the properties from Lucasfilm. Who remembers Star Wars 1313 and the original Battlefront 3? Bro, that leaked footage. That would have been an absolutely brilliant game. It would be helmed by talented writers and developers. They would all be restarted and given to people who give a shit. Good, true storytelling would take hold again and Lucasfilm would be saved. Is it you? Is it me?